In the scenic city of Bend, Oregon, nestled alongside the Deschutes River, lived 23-year-old Kaylee Sawyer. The summer of 2016 found her working as a dental assistant while studying at Central Oregon Community College. She shared an apartment with her boyfriend Cameron, with whom she had been in a relationship for a couple of years. Kaylee possessed a creative spirit that manifested in her love for photography drawing and writing poetry. The natural beauty surrounding Bend provided her with endless inspiration. She embraced outdoor activities with enthusiasm, snowboarding in winter, golfing and fishing when the weather warmed, and wakeboarding on the river. For someone with Kaylee's interests, Bend offered the perfect environment. Though her parents had divorced when she was young, Kaylee maintained close relationships with both of them, as well as with her step-parents. She also shared a special bond with her four younger brothers. Friends and family often described her as one of the happiest people they knew. Her mother once remarked, "Everybody was a friend to Kaylee, even if they were a stranger." Her naturally social nature made her popular, and she frequently spent time out with friends. On the evening of July 23, 2016, Kaylee prepared to celebrate a friend's bachelorette party. After getting ready, she drove to a friend's house near downtown Bend, parked her car there, and joined the gathering. The group visited various bars throughout the evening, enjoying drinks, dancing, and the festive atmosphere. Everyone was in good spirits as they celebrated. During the evening, Kaylee danced with a man at one of the bars. A friend of Cameron's happened to be at the same establishment, and noticing this interaction, sent Cameron a text about it. As the night progressed and the celebration began winding down shortly after midnight, now technically July 24th, Kaylee, having had several drinks, called Cameron and asked him for a ride home. While Cameron was en route to pick her up, Kaylee texted his friend to apologize about dancing with another man and how the situation might have appeared. When Cameron arrived, an argument began immediately and continued during the entire drive back to their apartment complex. Upon arrival, Cameron, frustrated by the escalating tension, exited the vehicle while Kaylee remained inside, crying and expressing that she needed space to calm down. Approximately 10 minutes later, Cameron returned to the car, hoping to convince Kaylee to come inside so they could both get some rest and address their disagreement in the morning. However, when he approached the vehicle, he discovered the passenger door standing open and Kaylee nowhere to be seen. Cameron began searching for her and sent several text messages. "Where are you, Kaylee? Please just come home to be with me. I don't want to play this game. I'll start searching, but please help me out." Kaylee replied that her phone battery was running low. Cameron continued messaging her, "Please don't do this to me. I apologize for being upset when I picked you up. I just drove up and down College Way really slow. I didn't see you, and I don't know where else to go. Just come back." Kaylee responded, "Are you kidding? Because that's bullshit. Goodbye." After that message, she turned off her phone and ceased all communication. Cameron visited a friend's house, thinking Kaylee might have walked there, but she hadn't. He drove through the surrounding streets, looking for her without success. Meanwhile, Kaylee's mother, Julie, and her friends also attempted to contact her, but received no response. As time passed without word from Kaylee, concern grew among everyone who knew her. The following morning with Kaylee, still unaccounted for, Cameron contacted the police. In his call, he explained the situation. "Last night, I got home from the bars. My girlfriend, she got upset at me and ran off, and I chased her, and wasn't able to find her, and I still haven't heard from her. Phone's off. I called all her family, and they haven't heard from her." The officer asked where Kaylee was last seen, and Cameron explained it was at their apartment complex around 1 o'clock in the morning. He described how he had gone inside and told her to join him when she had calmed down. When he returned 10 minutes later, she was gone. He mentioned that she had taken her phone with her, but it had been off all day. Cameron had already checked at her friend's house, where her car remained parked, and had spoken with her parents, but no one had heard from her. The officer assured him they would have someone contact him and asked him to call back if Kaylee got in touch. Later, Kaylee's mother, Julie, also called the police, explaining that while her daughter was 23, she had epilepsy and some medical issues that added to the family's concern. "My daughter is missing, and she is over 23, but she has epilepsy and some medical issues," Julie told the dispatcher. The officer promised that the same officer who had spoken with Cameron would contact her. News of Kaylee's disappearance spread quickly through social media, and hundreds of volunteers joined the search effort. The community mobilized, rapidly concerned about the young woman's whereabouts. Police interviewed Cameron promptly and found no reason to consider him a person of interest. They also questioned the friends Kaylee had been with during the bachelorette party, but they couldn't provide any helpful information. The man Kaylee had danced with at the bar was located and interviewed as well, but he explained that their interaction had lasted only a few minutes before she rejoined her friends and left the establishment. He expressed genuine shock at her disappearance. As the search continued, local news began covering the story. A news anchor introduced the case. An unusual missing person case has hundreds of Central Oregonians concerned and on the lookout. Bend police are working to find Kaylee Sawyer. During an interview, Kaylee's mother, Julie, expressed the family's deep concern. She has 4 younger brothers who desperately want their big sister home. The reporter noted that Sawyer was last seen early Sunday morning near her West Bend apartment parking lot, walking toward nearby Central Oregon Community College. Julie later revealed that from the moment she heard about her daughter's disappearance, she experienced a profound physical sensation, an intuitive feeling that Kaylee was no longer alive. The second she heard her daughter was missing and not replying to anyone, she felt a shift in her whole body, and something was telling her that Kaylee was no longer alive, according to family accounts. Law enforcement attempted to locate Kaylee's phone, but the signals they detected turned out to be coming from an old iPhone still registered under Kaylee's Apple ID. Her phone was pinging all over the city of Bend, but sadly, this was confirmed to be an old iPhone that was still registered under Kaylee's Apple ID, investigators reported. By Monday morning, when Kaylee didn't appear for her scheduled shift at the dental clinic, police escalated their efforts, listing her as an endangered missing person in law enforcement databases. The community response continued to grow, with concerned residents putting up flyers and sharing information through social networks. "We just contacted everybody and said please get her face out there," one family member explained. As the search approached the 24-hour mark, a police officer named Isabel reported something concerning to her colleagues. She explained that her husband, Edwin Lara, a 31-year-old campus security guard at Central Oregon Community College, had been behaving strangely over the previous 2 days. Isabel noted that Edwin's unusual behavior began when he returned home late on Sunday after completing his overnight shift. When he works at graveyard like he did on Saturday night, He starts at like 3 p.m. Isabel explained when asked about his schedule. It's always changing. It's always unpredictable. So I actually was at the point that I didn't even know when he was going to be working or not. When asked if she noticed anything unusual about Edwin's behavior, Isabel confirmed, "Oh, yeah, so he was very quiet, like on the way to church. Wasn't the same, which is unusual. My church, he was just very quiet, very drawn. Like he would usually like wrap my head or something. He wasn't doing it." The couple had been experiencing relationship difficulties for some time, so Isabel initially didn't press the issue further. They went to watch a film later that day, but Edwin remained distant. The next morning, his behavior became more concerning. Isabel described the interaction. He comes out of the room, and his eyes were all teary. That's when I'm like, what happened? Tell me what happened. So he sits on the sofa. I turned off the TV, and then he just says, "I killed a woman." Confused, Isabel asked for clarification, thinking perhaps he meant he had accidentally hit someone with his car. "So you hit her with the car. That's an accident. Why? What do you mean you panic? Where? What do you mean?" Edwin repeatedly said he had panicked, but his explanation seemed disjointed and unclear. And then I kept asking him, "What has it got to do with you hitting her? And now you panic, and you hit the body." It was not making any sense to me, Isabel recalled. Edwin told Isabel that some of Kaylee's belongings were hidden in their shed. After this admission, Edwin fled the house, taking Isabel's gun with him. When asked if Edwin had mentioned when this incident occurred, Isabel said, "He didn't give me like a time." Officers immediately went to the couple's home, where they discovered exactly what Isabel had described: Kaylee's purse identification shoes, a blood-stained rock, and what appeared to be a clump of hair matching Kaylee's. The evidence suggested not an accidental vehicular incident, but a violent homicide. By the time police began processing the evidence found at Edwin's residence, he had already fled the area and embarked on what would become an interstate crime spree. After leaving his car at his parents' house, Edwin spotted a 19-year-old woman named Andrea sitting in her vehicle in a parking lot. Andrea had just completed a 12-hour work shift and was preparing to drive home when Edwin opened her passenger door, pointed a gun at her, and demanded she start driving. During their journey, he showed her photographs of himself in his campus security uniform and mentioned news reports about Kaylee. After 3 hours on the road, Edwin directed Andrea to stop at a motel for the night. At check-in, he forced her to pretend to be his girlfriend. Once inside the room, he handcuffed her to the bathroom door while he showered, then ordered her to shower in front of him. Andrea firmly refused. Edwin subsequently handcuffed her to the bed and instructed her to take sleeping pills. At that moment, an alarm sounded on Andrea's phone. Thinking quickly, she fabricated a story telling Edwin she had an STD and needed to take medication when the alarm went off. This clever deception seemingly deterred him from sexually assaulting her. Growing increasingly paranoid, Edwin decided to leave the motel at 1:30 in the morning. They continued driving until 5:00 a.m. before stopping at another motel. There, Edwin approached a 73-year-old man near his vehicle and attempted to take it, shooting the man in the stomach when he resisted. Although Edwin failed to acquire the car, the man fortunately survived the attack. Edwin and Andrea then fled on foot to a nearby gas station where he carjacked a 76-year-old woman who had her two young grandsons with her. He forced one of the teenagers to drive at gunpoint before eventually releasing the family unharmed and continuing with the vehicle. Edwin ordered Andrea to drive toward California, where he had family. During the drive, he used Andrea's phone to record a video of himself. In the recording, he said, "Hi, everybody. I just want to say that I apologize for everything I've done. Most likely, I'm going to get caught and sorry about that girl. About that girl in Central Oregon. And I ever want to let family members, Andrea, that she's fine and she will be fine." Edwin continued referencing Kaylee. "I didn't want to kill that other girl, you know. I regret it. I regret killed her. She kept screaming, and I silenced her forever." He had Andrea post the video to Facebook with the title, "Murderer on the Loose." Edwin then called his family to inform them of the situation. At 6:40 a.m., he called 911 identifying himself and admitting to being wanted for murder in Oregon. "Yes, hi. This is Edwin Lara, and I'm the guy on Interstate 5. Well, in a high speed, I know you guys have the shop around me already. Yeah. And yeah, I just want to say I am going to turn myself in. So you know, I am wanted for murder in the state of Oregon," he told the dispatcher. When the dispatcher asked if he was alone, Edwin replied, "No, I have someone with me. I kidnapped her in Oregon. She is innocent. Her name is Andrea." He then allowed Andrea to speak briefly with the dispatcher, confirming she wasn't injured. Edwin informed the dispatcher that he was armed, but promised not to run or hurt Andrea. "Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I do have a gun on me. I am not going to flash the gun, so you tell them not to shoot me. I don't want to die." He explained that he was calling his family to say goodbye before surrendering. "I'm actually calling my family is to say bye to them. So once I'm done calling all my family, then I'll turn myself in." A California Highway Patrol officer spotted the vehicle speeding on the interstate and attempted to pull it over. The ensuing chase reached speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour before Edwin was eventually stopped and arrested. Before surrendering, Edwin recorded himself saying, "I know this is being recorded, and I just want to say to the family of Kaylee that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did, and in time, I will tell them where the body is." He then handed the phone to Andrea, and police placed him in handcuffs. Andrea was initially arrested as well, but once authorities confirmed she was another victim, she was released. When Edwin was taken into custody, he initially told officers the same story he had told Isabel, that he had accidentally hit Kaylee with his car. He claimed that after the collision, he strangled her because she wouldn't stop screaming an explanation that investigators found implausible. The detective informed Edwin that the room was being recorded both by video and audio. During his interview, Edwin was asked to help locate Kaylee's body. "We have not been able to find Kaylee's body. Can you please help me find her body immediately before we start talking about anything else?" the detective requested. Edwin indicated he wanted to tell his story first. "Can I say the story, what I think first?" The detective encouraged him, recognizing how difficult the confession might be. "You're doing good. Edwin, you know what? This is not easy. Or you might be a little bit scared we're going to hear what you have to say. We really, really want to." The detective also acknowledged Edwin's religious faith. "I know because I was in your house, I saw the Bible. I know you thumped through it a lot. I see that you've tied for months consecutively. I know you're you. You have God in your heart, okay? And that's just not a trick, that's eternal. Right?" You know that Edwin began describing the incident, and I was going to turn south on College, way on the D4 lot. So I was going to turn south on the entry area there, and I didn't see her. She was wearing all black. So I was in a hurry. So it was my fault, and I wasn't expecting anybody, from that time tonight. So I turned, and I mean, I didn't hit her that hard. I used bumper with the patrol car, bumped through with the front wreck, and she fell down. And at first I thought, first thing I was all killed her. But I didn't hit her that hard. So I got off the car, and she was really drunk. And then she looks at me, and then she started screaming. So I panic. And I told you, she was kind of heavy, So I just grabbed her and pretty much ripped everything off her, like her pillow, threw her in the ditch. And then I went back home, and okay, they got to find her pretty quick. So I got to get her over and put her somewhere else. The detective challenged inconsistencies in Edwin's story, particularly why he would have taken Kaylee's phone and purse if he had merely hit her accidentally with his car. A couple of things you need to understand, and we're finally getting to the real problem here we really are, is you knew she was never getting out the car the moment you shut that door. Well, let me finish. You need to let me finish right here immediately. You go to keeping your purse and your phone. Why didn't she wasn't going to get out? She wasn't going to survive. That encounter was she. The detective continued pressing. This is where it does not make sense if your intent isn't already there to do some kind of harm or some kind of evil to her. Some freaking evil that's there, bro. It's there. You just gotta face it down, man. You can't cower away from it. You face that damn thing down right now. Up. If you know the only way, if you don't have intent in her head, your thought is, I gotta keep that phone away from her because she's gonna call from out before anything bad's even happened. You've already made a decision. Am I right or am I wrong? Tell me. Eventually, Edwin admitted, so I made the decision that time to silence her, to kill her. The detective sought clarification. Let's be real when you say silence or you need killer. When asked when he made that decision, Edwin replied, when she started screaming, because she have seen my face. The detective pointed out that Edwin had already taken steps to prevent Kaylee from getting help. But you already grabbed her phone. You already kept her away from making a call for help or contacting someone, so you're already preserving yourself. Based on Edwin's statements and other evidence, investigators pieced together what they believed happened that night. Kaylee had left Cameron's car and walked into the night. Edwin, on patrol in his security vehicle, spotted her and began following her. The nature of their initial interaction remains unknown, but somehow Kaylee ended up in the back of his patrol car. Police and Kaylee's family believe Edwin may have offered her a ride, which she accepted, assuming she would be safe, with a campus security officer. Students leaving clubs or bars were often given rides home by campus security, so this wouldn't have seemed unusual. However, once inside the vehicle, Kaylee was trapped, as the doors couldn't be opened from the inside. According to investigators, Edwin soon demanded sexual relations with Kaylee. When she refused, he strangled her until she lost consciousness, drove several miles away, strangled her again, and struck her head with a rock. He then sexually assaulted her. Kaylee was still alive at this point, so Edwin struck her with another rock and left her. It remains unclear whether she was still alive when he departed. After leaving Kaylee, Edwin returned to the college campus changed vehicles, and later returned to attempt to conceal her body. Following his full confession, officers located the car Edwin had initially used when fleeing. Inside, they found handwritten notes, one reading, "The place I killed her is on the B12 lot. Ran her over on College Way." Another note stated, "This notice to say that I am sorry for taking her life." With this information, authorities found Kaylee's body near a canyon off Highway 126. A news anchor delivered the tragic update, a tragic update to bring to you tonight in the disappearance of band resident Kaylee Sawyer. Police now say they found a body, and they believe that to be Sawyer's body. Now Edwin Lara has been arrested yesterday in connection with this. The report continued. Edwin Lara, is a 31-year-old Redmond resident, currently employed at CUCC, working as a part-time campus public safety officer. Despite his detailed confession, Edwin Lara pleaded not guilty when formally charged. The prosecution announced they would seek the death penalty. However, during pre-trial proceedings, Edwin's defense argued that his rights had been violated during the interview, as he hadn't been given the opportunity to make phone calls while in custody. In a significant setback for the prosecution, a judge ruled that Edwin's confession could not be used as evidence. This decision left prosecutors relying primarily on forensic evidence to build their case. Edwin's attorney suggested his client's actions could be explained by a genetic degenerative cognitive brain disability, while prosecutors characterized him as a potential serial killer and psychopath. In January 2018, to avoid the possibility of a death sentence, Edwin changed his plea to guilty of aggravated murder and robbery. A news reporter announced, half after murdering a young woman in Bend, the killer admits to the murder this morning. 32-year-old Edwin Lara pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and the death of 23-year-old Kelly Sawyer. This plea deal means he will avoid a possible death sentence. Despite the evidence, the sexual assault charges were not included in this plea agreement. The district attorney explained to Kaylee's family that their main goal as prosecutors was to secure a life sentence for the murder, and that pursuing the sexual assault charges might complicate the trial and jeopardize that outcome. The family reluctantly agreed to this approach. During the sentencing hearing, Kaylee's family members addressed the court. Her father expressed his profound grief and anger. Number one, they have Rick Haley back with us alive and well and pursuing her life. Number two, I wish to have this piece of garbage, the defendant, sentenced to death, what he's done to Mike Haley. Number three, I wish the court system and the state of Oregon would just hand him over to me and allow me to administer the death sentence. Kaylee's mother described Edwin as a monster during her statement. Following the family's testimonies, Edwin himself spoke, making an emotional plea for forgiveness. Today I don't want much. To say to you this morning prayer, something I'd like to speak to whoever is willing to listen, Edwin told the court. The judge, Michael Adler, characterized Edwin's actions as cold-hearted beyond belief, and noted that Edwin was fortunate not to face a jury that might have sentenced him to death. I'll ask you please, broken hearts of this community, to it. He addressed those present. Edwin Lara received a life sentence without the possibility of parole for Kaylee's murder, and later received a second life sentence for kidnapping Andrea. After the sentencing, a prosecutor reflected, "Today, we don't celebrate the end of this tragedy because it's not over for Kaylee's family. Today is the 548th day we mourn Kaylee's death, and tomorrow will be day 549. Today, though, we do take solace in knowing that Kaylee's killer was brought to justice. The judge commended Andrea for her extreme courage and bravery, and thanked Kaylee's father and stepmother for sharing what he described as one of the most difficult letters he had ever read in his career. He expressed his deep sorrow to Kaylee's family, saying, "I wish I could change things. I can't." Following these events, Edwin's wife, Isabel, filed for divorce and resigned from her position as a police officer. In her resignation letter, she wrote, "This decision has not been easy, but I have decided that it will be in the best interests for my career advancement and further development." Kaylee's family filed a lawsuit against Central Oregon Community College, alleging the institution had failed to conduct an adequate background check on Edwin and had not addressed concerning behaviors he had exhibited. One female officer had previously refused to ride in the same vehicle as Edwin and had reported him because she found him frightening. The lawsuit also highlighted how campus safety vehicles closely resembled police patrol cars and how campus officers wore uniforms similar to those of Bend police officers. These security personnel were equipped with pepper spray, ballistic vests, body cameras, and handcuffs, and drove vehicles with internal cages. The lawsuit argued that these circumstances created opportunities for individuals to misuse their position. In 2022, Kaylee's family reached a $2 million settlement with the college. That same year, additional tragedy befell the family when Julie's storage unit was broken into during a crime spree by two individuals under the influence of drugs. John Vieira and Emily Pickett stole approximately $30,000 worth of belongings, including a necklace containing some of Kaylee's ashes. Over 12 months, John Vieira and Emily Pickett stole from many people, including Julie and her husband, taking $30,000 worth of their belongings, including some of Kaylee's ashes, which Julie had put into a little necklace, according to reports. John Vieira later pleaded guilty to 16 property crimes and received a 40-month sentence, while Emily Pickett was sentenced to 10 days in prison. John admitted to discarding the necklace containing Kaylee's ashes in a trash bin, and sadly, it was never recovered. Kaylee's memory lives on through Kaylee's Law, passed in 2019, which requires campus security and their vehicles to be clearly distinguishable from law enforcement. Under this legislation, campus security vehicles cannot have rooftop lights or dividers between the front and back seats, must be equipped with GPS and interior video cameras that record whenever someone enters, and campus officers are prohibited from making vehicle stops or conducting searches of individuals. The law also mandates national background checks and psychological testing for security officer candidates. Specifically, Kaylee's Law requires campus security and their vehicles to be clearly distinguishable from actual law enforcement. The vehicles cannot have rooftop lights or a divider known as a cage between the front and back seats. They must have a GPS and an interior video camera that records whenever someone gets inside campus. Officers are also now prohibited from making vehicle stops or stopping and frisking individuals. National background checks and psychological testing would also be required before a security officer is hired. Kaylee's family also established KK Readers, KK being Kaylee's nickname, an initiative that donates Dr. Seuss books, specifically Oh the Places You'll Go, to children in Head Start preschool classes throughout Central Oregon. This was Kaylee's favorite book growing up and had inspired her own writing of stories and poetry. The loss of Kaylee deeply affected her community and led to meaningful legal reforms designed to prevent similar tragedies. Her mother, Julie, shared a tender remembrance. "The moment I held her, I understood what love at first sight meant and that it is real. She will continue to live on in all the memories that are shared. She had an amazing 23 years, and I want that to be remembered. The quiet streets of Bend, Oregon continue on, forever changed by the events of that summer night, while Kaylee's story serves as both a memorial to her life and a catalyst for important safety improvements. The community remains vigilant, remembering a young woman whose life, though tragically cut short, continues to create positive change through her legacy. Her family, while still carrying the weight of their loss, finds some comfort in knowing that other young people may be protected through the reforms enacted in Kaylee's name. The seasons pass in Bend snow, falling on the mountains where Kaylee once snowboarded spring, bringing new life to the riverbanks where she took photographs, summer warming the golf courses she enjoyed, and autumn painting the landscapes she loved to capture, each a gentle reminder of a life that touched so many others.